Good morning, everyone. In this short video, I'm going to give you an overview of some guidance for placing ML students. If you are a veteran counselor, this will be information that you've heard before. If you're a new counselor, perhaps this is information that you've not heard before, but I will keep this short and straightforward. So it's really important that you consult with your ESL teacher or the ML coordinator of your school to help you develop the appropriate schedule for your ML students. You're going to get a lot of information from the originating school, whether it's an elementary school or a middle school. However, you can always reach out to your ESL teacher when in doubt, and they can help you develop a schedule and work with you on a schedule for that ML student. And number two on this short handout that I'm providing, know your ML students. Understand that there's a wide range of English skills and native language skills that your ML students will have coming in. So one of the biggest indicators for how well an ML student will do in an English classroom initially is the amount of literacy that they have in their first language. So if you have a child who may speak little to no English right now, but they have a strong background in their first language, their educational background in their first language, they will probably acquire English faster and perhaps can do better in a more mainstream classroom than some of your newcomer students. But again, going back to number one, work with your ESL teacher, no two ML students and no two ML students' experiences are the same, and that will provide additional insight into the appropriate class selection for your ML students. And then number three, this gives you a little insight about how those access scores generally match up with ESL class placement. And I'll go into a little more detail about this on the second page of your document, and some additional notes down at the bottom. The access scores that are part of the ESSA accountability model, so this is an area that we need to focus on in raising our access scores. And one way to do that is to make sure your ML students are appropriately scheduled into appropriately challenging courses. We want them to have opportunities to develop their English skills, but also to develop their content skills simultaneously. And part of that raising our access scores is making sure that we're scheduling our ML students into appropriately challenging classes. And then that brings us to the bottom section here on shelter classes. So in order to close this gap between your students' current English skills, your ML students' current English skills, and being fully proficient in English, we have to develop sheltered courses. We have some schools in the district that have done a great job with developing the shelter courses. Parkland High School has developed a new range of courses for their ML students. That could be a good exemplar to look at, how they're arranging those courses, how they're scheduling students into those courses. Reynolds High School has also developed some shelter courses over the years, but a shelter course uses the same curriculum that a non-sheltered course does. However, there's a particular amount of emphasis that's placed on developing students' English language proficiency within a sheltered course. We've got sheltered course numbers in your course catalogs, so you can tell the difference between a sheltered course and a non-sheltered course. But that's something that I would highly recommend that schools explore to help their ML students both get that content knowledge and develop their English skills simultaneously. Those are called sheltered courses. Parkland and Reynolds have done a really good job with exploring and developing those sheltered courses, and they would be good models to reach out to for additional information. And then my colleague, I'm sure, Ms. Baldwin, mentioned the need to schedule students in the Spanish native speakers courses. This can be extremely valuable for your EL students, your ML students, whose first language is Spanish. Many of these students come in, they have a higher level of oral Spanish skill, but they need development on their literacy skills in Spanish. And so a Spanish native speakers course could be a wonderful course for your native Spanish-speaking ML students. We have over 80 different languages represented in our district, so not all of our ML students would be a good candidate for a Spanish native speakers course, but your native Spanish-speaking ML students would be perhaps a good candidate for a Spanish native speakers course. Again, my colleague, Dr. Baldwin, has probably already mentioned this previously. Touch base with her if you have any additional questions about Spanish native speakers courses for your ML students. Okay, so now I've flipped over to the back of your handout. This is our language instruction educational program. Every school system in the United States who receives Title III funding has to have an LIEP. I actually have to share this with the state every year. They have to approve this. But this is really a roadmap for the access scores that you see across the top here, WIDA Screener or Access. The WIDA Screener is the initial placement test, English language proficiency test that we give our students at the Newcomer Center. And the Access is the test that we give our ML students annually until they exit ML status. And you can see the overall proficiency level here, the listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And this gives you an idea of what level of service that your ML students need to have based on their access scores. And again, your ESL teachers should be very familiar with the LIEP, but this is another document that you can use to help guide some of your decisions about placement into an ESL class. There are considerations here based on the background of the students and students that we see at these different levels. And then at the bottom, you have an overview of some of the needs that a comprehensive ML student with an overall proficiency level of 1 to 3, that student will need an ESL class without a doubt. They will need more than likely an ESL level 2 or level 1, perhaps a level 2. And then co-teaching could be a possibility, and definitely a sheltered class. So at the bottom, you have a little more insight to help you with scheduling based on the access scores, the most recent access scores that ML student has. So this is a really good tool that you can also use to think about what level of service and what types of ESL classes and what types of shelter classes that your ML students may need. So I wanted to make that available to you. And in a nutshell, that's it. The ML team is available to help you out if you have any questions, and you guys have a good day.